Welcome to my channel Lecture Notes. So today I'll be explaining a novel, The Bride, which is written by Bapsi Sidhwa. In my last video, I've explained from chapter 1 till chapter 4, and in this particular video, I'll be explaining only chapter 5 and 6. So let me give a quick recap before starting this chapter. From chapter 1 to 4, the main protagonist, our protagonist is Kasim, who was born and brought up in the mountains. He, at a very young age, he was married and given a gun as well on the same day. But his family died because of smallpox. His wife, his lovely daughter Zaitun, as well as the sons died because of smallpox. As a result, he left that place and went to another town and worked as a security guard. As a result, he again had a gun with him. He had a vengeance with another colleague where he was working as a guard, and as a result, he killed that person. On the other day, he knew that the train is departing to Pakistan. He left on that train. On the same train, a small girl, Munni, was traveling with her family, and Qasim, as well as the girl Munni, was traveling on the same train which was going to Pakistan. But someone said jump, so Munni as well as Qasim, they both jumped, and within a few kilometers, the train stopped and it was looted, and it was a massacre where the people were killing all the persons that were in the train. And Kasim as well as the girl were saved because they jumped on the right time. They were saved, and you'll have noticed that Kasim kind of adopted that girl Munni and gave her the name Zaitun, which was the name of his dead child, dead girl. So now, throughout the novel, that girl Munni will be called Zaitun because now she has kind of accepted that this person is giving him a sense of security, and this is the only person who can look after her. So moving on, after he jumped, and what he saw from his eyes has been explained in chapter 5, and you'll see that how people have completely lost humanity. They'll be killing with or without the reason. So Qasim had been on the run for 2 hours and was beginning to feel the weight of the child. Every little while he swept his thumb across his forehead to prevent the sweat from running into his eyes. His clothes were soaked with perspiration, and his trousers stiff and black with dust. The girl had not said a word. Sensing his strain, she shifted her weight to ease him. So you can see that Qasim was only walking and walking thoughtlessly, aimlessly, not actually aimlessly. His only aim was to reach the camps of the other side. So he was soaked in perspiration and he did not mind it because the only aim was to reach the same place. On the other hand, the girl did not utter a word, leaving aside the need of water, food, or basic essentials. She did not have the courage to say a single word, and but she made sure that the weight was not too much for Kasim. She also wanted to make him comfortable. She was shifting her weight to another side to ease him. So you'll notice that how they both saw that how humanity was lost when they were walking to the safe place. Men, freshly dead, means they were recently dead within few minutes or hour. Their bodies pale and velvety, still lay in alleys and in open drains. Death, cheapened by the butchering of over 1 million people, because casual and humdrum. It was easy to kill. Taking advantage of the attitude to settle old scores, to grab someone's property or business or woman. Hindu killed Hindu, Sikh killed Sikh, and Muslim. So the people did not. It was people felt that it was the right time to take the old vengeance because nobody is noticing. There is no law and order, so nobody is noticing that who killed whom. So as a result, the old vengeance were taken out, and it was not something religion. It was like completely lost of humanity. Therefore, Hindu people were killing Hindu. Sikh, nobody could blame anyone because everyone was killing each other, whether it was for property, business, or women. So somehow they reached Lahore and was about to reach the camp when here they has been referred to Qasim and Munni. When they were taking a nap under a tree, a dust storm came and someone shouted, "Get away from the tree," which they quickly did and were saved from falling off the tree. The man who shouted and saved them was Nika Pahalwan. This is another major character in the novel. One was Qasim and another was Munni, and the third now has been introduced as Nika Pahalwan. When Nika asked Qasim about his whereabouts and asked if the girl was his daughter, he Qasim was scared and said, "You don't ask a hillman anything about his women folk, understand? I would have slit your throat for less had you not saved me and my child from that tree." Nika again and again referred to him as Pathan, to which Qasim was angry, and again that I am not a Pathan but Kohistani. So, three things that you should observe are that one could easily see that how much Qasim was scared to tell that the people clearly had some intuitions that the color complexion of the girl as well as Qasim did not match. As a result, Nika asked about that is she really your daughter, and Qasim realized that people are going to ask this question again and again. So he was scared and answered abruptly that if you would have asked a hillman about the women folk, we would have killed you. So again, the code of conduct that Kohistani follows, that no one can ask about their women folk, that from where they belong, who they are. Second, you will notice is that he is stuck that I am not a Pathan but a Kohistani, that how his identity matter him the most. So being called a Pathan, he did not like it, and he is very much following the thing that I'm not a hill person or a hill man. I have a particular identity that is Kohistani. Then Nika Pahalwan tells about his wife, his lifestyle. Unlike Qasim, who doesn't want to share anything about his past or present, here you will see Nika, who will be willingly telling his secrets or sharing his hidden things. He says that here Nika Pelwan tells that I have a wife, Miriam. Does it offend you to hear me talk of my woman folk? Qasim glanced at him sheepishly. She is barren. That is, he is telling the secrets. So now he is not only telling about himself, the Nika Pahalwan is telling about his secrets also, the secrets of wife also. Nika detailed and probed the causes of the bareness, mentioning her ailments, her temperament, her age, and Qasim blushed up to the pale eyelashes. Women are strange. I know she cries her eyes out, thinking I'll get myself another wife. Why should I? It's Allah will, I'm content. So now Nika Pelwan has told about the personal life, and in the next lines, he'll be telling about the professional life. On the other hand, Qasim did not utter a word about his personal, professional, or anything. The only thing that he mentioned is that he's a hill person, he's a Kohistani, that he has a particular identity and should be called with that particular name. On the other hand, Nika is the contrary person to Qasim. So now he's telling his professional life. Nika introduces himself that he only had a pan shop of his own, and the other sources of income was every year I was summoned to Banaras for the holy spring puja. Childless women flocked to the temple to invoke Shiva's pity and assistance. I had to work hard at being Shiv, a circumcised Shiv. Hey, I wonder if I will ever get there again. So circumcised refer to that Nika Pehlwan is a Muslim person, and he became a Hindu god at the time of spring puja, which clearly shows that Hindu and Muslim had a good sense of unity, and there was not a question upon religion that how a Hindu person can only become a Hindu deity at the time of puja. So clearly, which shows that before partition, in the pre-partition world, there was no question upon religion. Nobody gave a thought whether the person was a Muslim or a Hindu. The only thing mattered was the person was good or bad. But in the post-partition era, it was only thing that mattered what that the person is Hindu or Pakistani. So Nika invited Qasim to dinner where Miriam took care of Zaitoon. Eventually, Nika told that he wants to do a business and asked if Qasim could lend him some money. Eventually, it was decided that Qasim would lend Nika 200 rupees. Twice that amount was to be returned to him at the end of 6 months. Nika would, in compensation for these easy terms, provide them with food, and Miriam will look after Zaitoon. Despite Nika's reassurance, Qasim was cautious. He watched him carefully. He became shadow of Nika even when he went for toilet, slept close to him and accompanied him everywhere. So you will see that within few minutes they um, developed a bond, and Nika asked for money, which Kasim initially hesitated, but then gave him money because he knew that he needed someone to provide him food and shelter for the girl. So he accepted those easy terms, and but he did not. Kasim did not have trust over Nika. As a result, he became shadow, and throughout the 6 months, you will see that he will follow Nika everywhere, whether he is fetching for new things for his shop, or whether he is going to washroom, or whether he is sleeping. He'll become the shadow of Nika because Kasim does not have a trust factor over Nika. So soon Nika business started as a pan peddler, and after seeing that a few people initiated the same business, but Nika, because of his build, beat the guts of person whosoever was doing the same business in the area, and this was the reason that he was called the Nika Pehelwan because of his body. And someone who initiated the same business, he was bullied up and he was beaten up because Nika wanted to show the supremacy over one business, that was the pan peddling. Once Qasim also saved Nika when Nika was physically fighting with someone and he tried to use a knife. Then Qasim blew a shot in the sky and said, "The fight is over." Nika was shown his supremacy as the opponent is trying to use a knife. So you'll see that they have developed a good team where where Nika shows his physical strength, and on the other hand, sorry, Nika shows his physical strength, and Kasim shows his active mind, where he sees that someone is trying, the opponent person is trying to use a knife. So the crowd broke up reluctantly, leaving a knot of about 10 admirers. They brushed the dust from Nika's hair and clothes and handed him his slippers. So within a few days, there was admirers of Nika because of his build, because of his strength, and the people admired him for his strength. Within a few months, they both moved into the rented flats of neighborhood of Killa Gujar Singh. So now, uh, because of the pan peddler business, he had a steady income, and now their lifestyle has changed. Nika usually had fights every other day. I mean, a stranger refused to pay money because the leaf was stale and there was no tobacco in pan, according to him. Nika suggested if this is the case, spit the pan out first. Both tried to establish their control, but Nika was strong, won the fight. The next day, he put various photos on the shop of his valor. Everyone around the area knew and admired Nika, which also made Kasim was proud. So every other day, Nika had a fight. In this chapter, many fights have been mentioned, but I have only told about, nearly about two fights where he shows his supremacy. And you will see that he will put various photos of him fighting people to show that his supremacy near the area where he is living. At the end of 6 months, Nika returned Qasim his 200 rupees with an additional 200 in interest, which was the exact condition they both had made. Now they renew the term. They arrived, renew the term, and now Nika compelled Qasim to find work. He was to give Nika 40 rupees a month for his and Zaitoon's keep. So now Nika, earlier Qasim, what he used to do, he used to be shadow of Nika and follow him everywhere. Now Nika compelled Qasim that he should find a work, he should not become a shadow of Nika. So moving on to chapter 6, when a Tongawala reprimanded by a policeman, shouted, "We are independent now. I will drive where I please." Bystanders sympathized. 40 million people relaxed, breathing freedom. Many felt cheated because some of the same old laws, custom taboos, and social distinctions still prevailed. So this is the initial paragraph where you can see that independence means different to different people. Here a Tongawala is shouting at policemen that now I'm independent, now I'm free, I can travel, I can do whatever I please. On the other hand, there are still laws. So people were confused that whether they have really got the independence, whether they have really got the freedom, because the old taboos, custom laws still prevailed. So what is the meaning of independence now? So this chapter will be more of like how the meaning of independence and freedom has been lost. So Nika's business prospered. He and Miriam shifted to three-room on the ground floor of a tenement. He acquired for his home a cheap sofa set and a radio for the shop. The new living quarters were painted parrot green. On the other hand, Qasim room was dingy, and except a single mishapen door, it has no ventilation. Qasim and Zaitoon slept on the straw mat spread on the bare brick floor. So this particular two lines show the contrast that Nika's business was flourishing. He was starting to establish a lifestyle. He had a furniture. He properly painted his room. On the other hand, Qasim grew on the monetary terms and the financial terms, but a slow growth. But he did not change his lifestyle. He barely had any furniture. They slept on the floor. So clearly, he did not thought about his lifestyle or his image. While on the other hand, for Nika, his image was everything. One of the political factions sniffed him out, embraced and flattered him, and he became a municipal part of a huge political package. Policemen became courteous. So how this line shows that how Nika was becoming a huge figure, a recognized figure where politicians know who he was. Policemen were talking politely to him like they were the friends, not. Nika was not seen as someone who is a gunda or pehelwan showing his supremacy. He was seen as someone who is friends with everyone and only beats someone who irritates him or tries to show supremacy over him. So Miriam scandalized by such foolish waste of girls' time. So now you will see that how Miriam, that is Nika's wife, show that she is against Zaitoon's study. She says that there is no need for Zaitoon to study. That how a woman stops the growth of another woman. Miriam, scandalized by such a foolish waste of girls' time, so, waste of time here has been referred to school and study. At last, told Nika, now that she has learned to read the Holy Quran, what will she do with more reading and writing? Boil and drink it. That the only thing the woman should know is cooking. Therefore, she says that now nothing more is left to study. She knows how to read Holy Quran and Bible, and that is it. That they had no idea of power of knowledge. That how Miriam did not know what the power of knowledge is, and therefore she shows that how the women are only made for one thing, that is for cooking and keeping the house tidy for men. The Pathan doesn't realize she is in the hot plains of Punjab. Everything ripens early here. She'll be safe only at her mother-in-law's. A girl is never too young to marry. So clearly, this line of Miriam shows that woman as property who needs to be transferred from one owner to the other. Zaitoon doesn't have a mother and she can only be safe in the mother-in-law hands. That how she is a thing which constantly needed to be safe and secured. So after Zaitun started menstruating and Miriam took care of everything, so she finally decided and told Qasim that she won't go to school. Instead, she will learn homely duties. Zaitun spent her half day doing chores and next half gossiping with all women. So you'll see the bond between Miriam and Zaitun. The first time she menstruated, she ran towards Miriam, which show that Miriam and Zaitun had a motherly bond. But Miriam is also shown a controlling figure where she has a control over her education, that what she will be doing and when she will be doing and what she needs to do. So Miriam is seen a motherly as well as controlling figure for Zaitun. So thank you for watching this video.